The story begins with a man named Manit, a marketing agent for a pharmaceutical company in Thailand. Manit's job is to promote their products through outdoor movie screenings using a mobile cinema setup. He works alongside his younger brother Kao and their uncle, affectionately called Uncle Man. During each screening, Manit serves as the film's voiceover artist. At that time, Thai movies only displayed silent images of the king, so live dubbing was essential. As the promotional segment ended and the movie was about to start, the film reel suddenly broke. Disappointed, the audience grew angry and vandalized the screen. Frustrated, Kao grabbed a machete and challenged the crowd to a fight. Fortunately, a senior monk happened to pass by and managed to calm the situation. On their way home, the three lamented the series of misfortunes they had faced that day: poor sales, a near brawl with the crowd, and their damaged equipment. Along the road, they noticed a rival mobile cinema group called the Campanak Group. This group had drawn a large audience with their new movies and a female voiceover artist. Concerned, Kao worried they wouldn't survive the competition if things stayed the same. The next morning, while preparing to leave for their next destination, Kao expressed his pessimism, saying that without a strategy change, nothing would improve. Manit explained that he had already tried suggesting new ideas to their boss, but they were always dismissed. Kao then proposed hiring a female voiceover artist to attract more attention, believing it would give their mobile cinema a unique edge since Manit had always been the sole voice actor. Manit revealed that he had distributed brochures advertising a job vacancy for a female voiceover artist through a friend. However, he was hesitant because hiring someone without the boss's approval could get them in trouble. After some persuasion from Kao and Uncle Man, Manit reluctantly agreed, emphasizing the need to remain discreet. While traveling, they encountered a beautiful woman who called out to them and invited them to a small shop. Introducing herself as Ruanki, she mentioned that she had seen the job advertisement for a voiceover artist with Manit's group. Ruanki claimed to have 3 years of experience with another mobile cinema group and assured them she understood the role well. To address any doubts, she offered to audition to prove her skills. Impressed by her confidence, Manit and his team quickly agreed to hire her. That evening, during Ruanki's first performance, Manit was amazed by her talent. Her presence drew an overwhelming crowd, and their medicine sales soared. After the event, Manit declared that Ruanki had passed the test. He explained that the mobile cinema group would embark on a nationwide tour across Thailand for 1.5 months and asked if Ruanki would join them. At that moment, she happily agreed. The next morning, while traveling to their lodging, Ruanki shared her aspirations. She confided that she didn't plan to remain a voiceover artist forever. After the tour, Ruanki intended to enroll in a typing course to pursue her dream of becoming an office worker. Ruanki explained that during that era, career options were limited, and working in an office was considered a prestigious profession. Upon arriving at their lodging, Manit and his team took advantage of the day off from mobile cinema screenings to rest and repair their damaged equipment. The next morning, they went to the market to purchase supplies for their tour. While shopping, they were momentarily captivated by a television advertisement for medicine. It dawned on them that with technological advancements, promoting products through mobile cinema might soon be replaced by TV commercials. After finishing their shopping, Manit's boss arrived with additional supplies and a new film. This film already had voiceovers, offering them a chance to screen it as a break from live dubbing. When the boss began inspecting the back of their vehicle, Manit and his team panicked, fearing Ruanki might be discovered. Fortunately, Ruanki managed to avoid drawing attention. That evening, while inspecting the film they planned to show, Manit was reminded of his cherished memory of meeting his idol, Miter. Manit was such a fan that his mobile cinema exclusively showcased films starring Miter. Over time, Manit, Kao, and Uncle Man felt a deep emotional connection with the actor, almost considering him a part of their group. The next day, after completing their preparations, they set off on their nationwide tour. That evening, seeing the large crowd gathered, Uncle Man proposed a playful competition between Manit and Ruanki to see who could earn the most cheers from the audience. The loser would have to treat everyone to a meal. Both agreed to the challenge, and when the film began, they enthusiastically performed their voiceovers. Ultimately, Ruanki lost and, honoring the agreement, treated the group to dinner at a cafe. During the meal, Manit caught the attention of a few women, but he remained composed. Meanwhile, a tipsy Ruenki unexpectedly got up and began dancing alone. As this happened, Uncle Man noticed Manit and Cow intently watching her. When Ruenki finished her dance, she became overly rowdy and started yelling. Because of this, Manit immediately stepped in to calm her down. After escorting Ruenki to her room, the three men returned to their own quarters. On the way, Uncle Man asked Manit if he had feelings for Ruenki, pointing out that his gaze during dinner seemed different. Manit admitted his feelings, but acknowledged that Cow also seemed to like Ruenki. Because of this, Manit decided to suppress his emotions and step aside. Cow reassured him, saying it was fine for both of them to have feelings for the same woman, as long as they competed fairly for her heart, and Manit agreed to this. The next morning, as they entered the car, Ruenki noticed an unusual silence and felt uneasy. Ruenki began wondering if she had caused trouble while drunk the night before. Overwhelmed by confusion, Ruenki apologized and started crying. Seeing this, the three men burst into laughter. It turned out they were just teasing her. Manit joked that he had to cover the meal costs because of her drunken antics. He added that Ruenki would have to treat them next time. When they reached their next destination, they discovered that their rival group, Campanat, was also scheduled to screen a film at a nearby location. Since the schedule couldn't be changed, they had no choice but to compete that evening. At night, as the film began playing, Manit felt discouraged upon seeing the superior quality of Campanat Group's film and equipment. This caused him to lose focus, making it hard for him to truly embody the characters. Gradually, the audience started drifting toward Campanat's screening. Frustrated by Manit's behavior, Ruenki decided to leave the event midway. After the show ended, as they were packing up their equipment, Sak, a voice actor from Campanat Group, approached Ruenki. Sak, who turned out to be Ruenki's ex-boyfriend and former colleague, questioned her decision to join Manit's group, which he considered inferior. Ruenki firmly told Sak it was none of his business and demanded that he stay out of her life. She then got into the car and asked Uncle Man to leave immediately. The next morning, during breakfast, Manit apologized for his mistakes the previous night. Ruenki responded by reminding him that, despite their limitations, they should never undervalue their work because their unique approach made them more entertaining than others. After breakfast, Ruenki started training Cow to improve his voice acting skills. Days passed, and one afternoon, Ruenki noticed Cow's progress and praised his growing talent. Taking the opportunity, a nervous Cow handed Ruenki flowers as a token of gratitude for her guidance. Meanwhile, before they resumed their journey, Manit stopped to seek blessings from a monk. While leaving, he noticed an unused typewriter and, upon the monk's suggestion, decided to take it with him. That day, their destination was a wedding deep in the forest. On the way, their cars struggled to navigate the rough terrain. At one point, a river blocked their path, but fortunately, some locals were waiting to escort them to the wedding using water buffalo. That evening, following their boss's advice, Manit played a new film with pre-recorded voiceovers as a change of pace. It felt strange since they were used to dubbing live, but they still enjoyed watching the film together. During the screening, Cow grew jealous seeing Ruenki getting along well with his older brother. Just as the mood was lively, rain suddenly poured, causing a stir. However, seeing the bride, groom, and guests continuing to enjoy the film despite the downpour, they decided to carry on with the event. The next morning, during a break, Manit gave the typewriter he had received from the monk to Ruenki. Remembering her dream of learning to type and becoming an office worker, Manit hoped it would help her achieve her goal. Though it was only a second-hand typewriter, Ruenki was thrilled to receive it. From a distance, Cow, observing their closeness, became increasingly jealous. On the way to their next location, Manit instructed Uncle Man to drive carefully as they were passing through a red zone where conflicts between soldiers and rebels were ongoing. However, shortly after the warning, their car got stuck in the mud. Fortunately, a group of soldiers passing by helped tow their vehicle to a nearby military base. Once there, the commander suggested they stay overnight, provided that Manit screened a film to entertain the troops. In the end, Manit agreed to the arrangement. Later, while inspecting the car, the commander appeared intrigued by Ruenki. To protect her from unwanted advances, Manit quickly declared that Ruanki was his wife. At night, during the film screening, Manit, Kao, and Ruanki worked together to dub the characters. However, still upset with his older brother's words, Kao didn't take his role seriously. During a gunfight scene, the commander unexpectedly fired his pistol into the air to liven up the atmosphere. Startled, Ruanki instinctively clung to Manit, further fueling Kao's resentment. After the screening, Ruanki confronted Kao about his lack of focus. Kao turned the tables, asking her bluntly if she had feelings for his brother. Ruanki firmly stated that she was there solely to work and had no interest in romance. Frustrated, Ruanki stormed off to her room. The next morning, Ruanki, wanting to clear any misunderstandings, decided to return the typewriter Manit had given her. However, as she approached him, she was shocked to find Manit and Kao arguing and physically fighting about her. Kao accused Manit of using his position as the group's leader to get closer to Ruanki. Although Manit tried to explain, Kao's anger boiled over, leading him to strike his brother. Overhearing their argument, Ruanki intervened and scolded them both, calling their behavior childish. She made it clear that she only wanted to focus on her work and was not interested in any romantic entanglements. Upset by the incident, Ruanki threw the typewriter to the ground and walked away. That evening, due to the fallout, Manit had to dub the film alone. Meanwhile, Ruanki noticed Kao packing his belongings with the intention of leaving. Feeling guilty, Ruanki considered that perhaps it was she who should leave, not Kao. In the middle of the night, Kao was awakened by the sound of Manit groaning in pain. Alarmed, Kao rushed to help his brother and called the others for assistance. They attempted first aid, but Manit's condition did not improve. Uncle Man then revealed that Manit suffered from a chronic illness that flared up under extreme stress, causing severe abdominal pain. With Manit's condition worsening, they decided to take him to a doctor immediately. While carrying Manit to the car, Kao was reminded of a childhood memory when he was bitten by a snake in the forest. Back then, Manit had carried him through the rough terrain to save his life. Inside the car, despite his pain, Manit apologized to Kao for failing to be a good leader. He pleaded with Kao not to leave the group. At that moment, Kao remained silent, deep in thought. The next morning, as Manit's condition improved, Kao brought him coffee as a gesture of apology for hitting him earlier. Seeing the brothers reconcile, Ruanki felt relieved. Later that day, the head monk called Manit to discuss a proposal. The monk mentioned hearing about the group's month-long tour across Thailand and suggested holding their final performance at an annual festival. Apparently, the monk proposed organizing a mobile cinema event for the local community and inviting the Campanat group to participate as well. He believed the friendly rivalry between the two groups would make the event more entertaining and memorable. Manit felt conflicted about the idea, unsure of the potential outcomes, but he promised to carefully consider the suggestion. In the late afternoon, Manit and his team continued their journey. Upon arriving at their destination, they busied themselves selling medicine. Suddenly, their boss arrived and caught them in the act. As the leader, Manit took full responsibility, admitting his fault and shielding his teammates. Manit confessed that he had broken company rules by recruiting members without approval, acknowledging that he was ready to face any punishment. Manit explained that Ruanki's presence had been kept secret due to the company's rigid and restrictive policies. However, he believed his actions were in the company's best interest. Manit argued that to compete effectively, they needed to expand their team, especially with someone like Ruanki, who had significant experience as a voice actor. Since Ruanki joined, their medicine sales had increased dramatically. Impressed by Manit's reasoning, the boss finally granted approval and expressed support for his decision. As a result, the entire group felt relieved and happy. Amid their conversation, sad news reached them. Their idol, Miter, had passed away. After attending Miter's funeral, the group gathered in the car to console one another. During the ride, Manit shared that the head monk had invited their group to perform at an annual festival. Manit explained that the festival was always packed with people and presented a great opportunity to boost their sales. However, there was a challenge. Campanat Group would also be performing, putting them in direct competition. Manit admitted he had always felt intimidated by Campanat Group. But for the final stop on their tour, He wanted to create a special performance to honor Miter, whom he considered their fifth member. Touched by Manet's determination, the team agreed to give their best for Miter. A few days later, the long-awaited evening arrived. The festival drew a massive crowd, and both mobile cinema groups set up side by side, each screening a film starring Miter. Backstage, Manet and his teammates felt nervous, questioning whether their romantic comedy film could rival Campanat Group's action-packed movie. After encouraging one another, they found their confidence and started their performance with enthusiasm. During a musical scene, Manet took the initiative to invite the audience to sing along, creating a lively and cheerful atmosphere. At the film's conclusion, Manet delivered a heartfelt reading of Miter's final script. Overwhelmed by emotion, he couldn't hold back his tears. Unexpectedly, Manet's meaningful words moved the audience, including members of Campanat Group, leaving everyone deeply touched. After the tour ended, Ruanki and Cao decided to pursue their own dreams. Manet and Uncle Man chose to continue their journey together. Before parting ways, Ruanki thanked the team for accepting her as part of their family. As a farewell gift, Manet and the group presented Ruanki with a new typewriter to support her ambitions. Moved by their kindness and well wishes, Ruanki embraced everyone before saying goodbye. Time passed. Ruanki dedicated herself to typing practice and enrolled in a course. One afternoon, she received a letter from Manet, who shared updates about their lives. Cao had made his debut as a film actor, while Manet and Uncle Man had recently won a substantial lottery prize. Reading the news, Ruanki felt genuinely happy for them. Months later, Ruanki achieved her dream of becoming a secretary. Unexpectedly, she found herself working at a cinema company owned by Manet. On the opening night, the theater was packed with visitors eager to watch a film starring Cao, now a renowned actor. Though their paths had diverged for a while, Manet, Ruanki, Cao, and Uncle Man eventually reunited, finding their way back to one another. Moral lesson from the story: never mix business and love unless you're ready to explain to your boss why your new hire came with a typewriter instead of a resume. Also, remember, if your marketing strategy involves machetes and monks, you might need a better plan or a lawyer.